Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're not just rattling off dry biology facts, okay? We're looking at some of the absolute most spectacular engineering on the planet. Yep, we're talking about birds. But I want you to kind of shift your perspective for a second. Don't just think of them as those everyday animals you see hanging out in the park. Think of them as highly evolved biological machines. I mean, they are packed with literally unbelievable survival superpowers. From built-in aviation mechanics to these incredibly specialized toolkits right on their faces, these feathered living beings are absolute marvels of nature. Let's get right into it.
So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. The mechanics of flight. 2. Beaks, the ultimate tools. 3. Fantastic feet and claws. 4. Avian architecture and nests. And 5. Fascinating facts and care.
Let's start by looking at the chassis of this biological machine. The basic body shape of a flying bird is totally streamlined. If you really look at it, it's shaped exactly like a boat. Notice the pointed head and the beak? Well, that design is definitely no accident. It allows the bird to flawlessly cut right through the air and totally minimize resistance. This streamlined body is basically the foundational secret that helps them fly so effortlessly.
Which brings us to Section 1, the mechanics of flight.
Now that we've seen the outer shell, let's peek under the hood. Staying up in the sky for long periods of time takes some highly specialized internal engineering. Step 1, their bones are actually hollow. I know, right? This drastically cuts down their weight, making their bodies incredibly light. Step 2, they possess these intensely strong flight muscles that generate the massive power they need to literally just move their wings. Step 3 is the complex movement of the wings themselves, which we call the upstroke and the downstroke. And finally, Step 4, the tail. Now, a bird's tail isn't just there to look pretty. It acts as a highly sensitive rudder to help them steer and change direction right in mid-flight.
And you know, the precise geometry of how they flap those wings is just fascinating. It's not just a random up and down flapping. During an upstroke, the wings actually move upward and backward. Then comes the real power move, the downstroke, where the wings drive downward and forward. This specific motion pushes the air and creates the essential lift required to keep them airborne. And when it's time to land, they just spread out their wings and glide down super smoothly, barely flapping at all.
Now, obviously, you can't have flight without feathers. But did you know a bird's body is covered in 3 completely different types of feathers, and each one serves a totally unique survival purpose? First off, we have flight feathers. These are the large ones found on the tail and wings, and they provide the crucial lift and balance for flying. Contrast that with down feathers, which are short, soft, and, extremely fluffy. They grow right against the skin to trap heat and keep the bird warm. In fact, a newborn bird is covered almost entirely in down. And finally, we have body feathers. These are layered right over the down feathers, covering the whole body to give the bird its smooth, aerodynamic shape.
Before we wrap up the whole flight thing, we absolutely have to talk about the rule breakers, because there are some fascinating exceptions to avian flight, birds that have completely different evolutionary adaptations. We're talking about the ostrich, the emu, the penguin, and the kiwi. These are known as flightless birds. So yeah, they might not take to the skies, but their bodies have adapted to their environments in other extreme ways. Think about the incredible running speed of the ostrich, or the seriously remarkable swimming abilities of the penguin.
Moving on to Section 2, beaks, the ultimate tools.
Let's see how this builds on our understanding of avian engineering. Since birds don't have teeth or hands to prepare their meals, their beaks act as highly specialized built-in tools. It's almost like unboxing a biological Swiss Army knife. Every single beak shape perfectly matches the bird's food source. Take the parrot. It has a curved beak that's specifically engineered to act like a nutcracker for hard fruits and nuts. A sparrow. It has a short, hard, pointed beak to crack open seeds and grains. A hummingbird uses its long, pointed beak almost like a drinking straw to suck nectar deep from within flowers. And the spoonbill literally has a spoon-shaped beak to scoop up tadpoles and insects directly from the water. It's just a perfect example of form following function.
This brilliantly illustrates extreme adaptation. Just look at the woodpecker's beak. It's strong and chisel-shaped, basically functioning like a high-powered drill. It bores right into tree trunks to pull out insects and make nests. Now, compare that to the pelican. The pelican has a broad, long, sharp-edged beak that essentially acts as a massive built-in fishing net to scoop up fish, crabs, and tadpoles. 2 totally different environments, right? And 2 perfectly engineered tools to match.
All right, Section 3, fantastic feet and claws.
So, moving down the anatomy, we hit our next set of biological superpowers. Because just like the beak, a bird's foot is way more than just a base to stand on. Every bird has 2 feet, usually with 4 clawed toes, but the configurations are wildly different depending on how they live. Perching birds, like crows and sparrows, have 3 toes pointing forward and 1 pointing backward. This lets them tightly lock onto high branches without falling. Scratching birds, like hens, have strong legs and hard claws designed to act like little rakes, digging into the earth for worms. And climbing birds, like woodpeckers, have 2 toes pointing forward and 2 backward. These basically function like grappling hooks so they can climb straight up vertical tree trunks.
Basically, a bird's foot tells you exactly how it survives. The eagle, for example, possesses the ultimate predatory weapons: strong, sharp, curved claws called talons. These are perfectly designed to snatch up prey like mice and rats. Compare that to the duck, which has webbed feet, essentially a flap of skin stretching between its 3 front toes. These are perfectly engineered swimming paddles, acting just like the oars of a boat to push them through the water. We also see wading birds, like cranes, with these long, thin legs and spread out toes that act like snowshoes, making sure they don't sink into the muddy pond water. Nature is just incredibly clever.
Let's jump into Section 4, Avian Architecture and Nests. Okay, we've covered their bodies, but now let's look at what they actually create with them, because birds are absolute master builders. When baby birds hatch from their eggs, they're weak and completely featherless, so parents have to build incredibly secure homes to protect them from bad weather and predators. And wow, the diversity of these designs is staggering. Woodpeckers actually carve out solid holes right inside tree trunks. Sparrows and hummingbirds craft tight little cup-shaped nests for safety. Eagles, they build massive, shallow structures high up on tall trees or rocks, and these are called eyries. Weaver birds use grasses to weave these complex, hanging nests with a tunnel-shaped opening at the very bottom. And the penguin, well, living in freezing environments with literally 0 trees, it just makes its nest right on the open ground using simple stones and pebbles.
But I really want to draw your attention to this absolute masterpiece of natural engineering. This is the nest of the tailor bird. Get this, it literally uses its pointed beak as a sewing needle. It gathers large leaves and physically stitches them together using cotton threads it finds, or even the silk from a spider's web. I mean, come on, that is a stunning display of intelligence and dexterity that genuinely rivals human craftsmanship.
When you see that level of complexity, you realize exactly why humans have spent centuries studying them. I want to share a quick spotlight on a really brilliant human mind dedicated to this field. Salim Moizuddin Abdul Ali was an extraordinary ornithologist, which is a scientist who studies birds. He was the first Indian ornithologist to conduct systematic bird surveys all across India. He wrote many books and earned the pretty legendary title, the Birdman of India. It's exactly that kind of passionate curiosity that helps us uncover the engineering secrets we're talking about today.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, Fascinating Facts and Care.
All right, we're in the final stretch. Time for some rapid-fire biological trivia. Did you know ostriches lay the absolute largest eggs in the world? Meanwhile, hummingbirds lay the smallest, and get this, they are the only birds that can fly backward. Because pigeons can fly incredibly long distances, they were actually utilized as mail carriers to deliver messages back in ancient times. Owls have a neck structure that lets them turn their heads almost completely around so they can see directly behind them. And the cuckoo bird? It doesn't even build a nest. It smartly and honestly kind of sneakily just lays its eggs right inside the nests of other birds.
But hey, beyond the fun facts, we really do share an ecosystem with these animals. I want to point out that March 20th is celebrated as World Sparrow Day. During those hot summer months, birds get thirsty and tired just like we do. A simple act, like keeping a small, shallow container of water, a bird bath on your balcony, lawn, or terrace, can actively save lives. We can also set out bird feeders with food grains, seeds, and breadcrumbs.
So I want to leave you with this question. After learning all about their hollow bones, their incredibly specialized beaks, and their unmatched architectural skills, how will you welcome these feathered engineers into your own space? Will you set up a bird bath or a feeder this summer? I highly encourage you to observe them, appreciate their superpowers, and remember just how brilliant nature's engineering truly is. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep observing the world around you, and I will see you next time.